Let me start off with, 2 wins is not where we want to be right now. It's not good enough. I understand the frustration from fans, ownership, the people inside the building, and nobody's more frustrated than myself. And it starts with me, and I'm tasked with trying to get this organization going back in, the proper direction. And the standard is to compete, for championships year in and year out. And that's the plan moving forward. So, we're going to look at everything, whether it's free agency, draft, coaching, finishing, execution on the field, whatever it may be. We're going to look at all avenues in order to get this franchise back to where it belongs. As for the coaching changes we made earlier in the year, this is the first time I've spoke with you guys since we moved on from Coach Dayball and Shane Bowen. Dabes and I have an extended history together, professionally and personally. Difficult decision, but one we decided to make. And he's a great football coach, and he's going to be successful in whatever he does, after the New York Giants. I'll say the same with Shane. Appreciate everything Shane did for us. Tireless worker, good coach, good man, and wish him nothing but the best moving forward as well. As for the coaching search, we're going to do everything we can right now to support Kafka. That's our primary focus right now, is give Kafka everything he needs in order to succeed over these next 4 weeks, support him and his staff. At the appropriate time, we'll get into, potential coaches, research, and we'll do a thorough collaborative research and come up with the best coach to lead the New York Giants going into, 2026 season. As for the roster, I do believe there is a good young core to build around here, and it will be an attractive job for many coaches. And, I'm excited to get that process going, as we move forward. As for, you guys are going to have some questions on Abdul. I know Kafka just spoke upon that, and I'm going to support him with whatever decision he makes in terms of player discipline. So again, I support him with that decision, and I'll just leave it at that. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions you guys might have.
You mentioned that your focus is getting Giants back to routine contention and really turning this around.
Yep.
Why do you believe that you're the right person to help turn this thing around?
Yeah, I understand the question. Again, my focus right now is on supporting Kafka as we go forward, and we'll evaluate all aspects of the football operation as we go forward. And has it been perfect? No. But I'm very confident in my staff, myself, and our ability to get this franchise back where it needs to go.
Where does that confidence come from? You're 2-11 at this time last year. You were saying you're close, and you're in the exact same spot now. So what gives you that confidence?
Yeah, I understand the question, and I know where you're coming from. It starts with me. I take responsibility for that. But we do have a good young quarterback, that's on a rookie contract for the next 4 years, and that's when it gets fun. When you're building around a young quarterback, you have a good nucleus, you have a good left tackle, you have a wide receiver that had a historic year as a rookie season. You got a good running back room. You got pass rushers. There's pieces in place, Dan, and I understand the question, and I do have confidence in our ability and our process to find the next coach to lead the organization. And again, I truly believe in that process, and I know we're going to get it right.
What has you told you about your future, and have you been given any assurances that you'll be seeing the coaching search into next year through?
Yeah, again, our focus is going to be on supporting Kafka and his staff. Ownership will evaluate the entire football operation at the end of the season, as they should, and then we'll go from there.
You mentioned ownership frustration. What conversations have you had with John and Steve?
Yeah, again, you guys have seen the results. 2 wins not good enough. I'll keep our conversations between us, but we all know 2 wins isn't good enough. Where we are right now isn't good enough, and it needs to change. Go ahead, Pat.
Thanks. You and Brian Daboll came in and worked as a collaborative pairing. So why is he held accountable for the results after 4 years, but you are not?
Yeah, I understand the question there too, Pat. And again, I'm equally as, my hand's in it just like Brian's is. And ownership made a decision to move on. And again, I'm going to do what I can control, and that's support Kafka moving forward. And again, I wish Dave's nothing but the best, and we're going to do everything we can to get this franchise back to where it should be.
You said that you'll support Kafka whatever decision he makes with Abdul, but are you concerned that this could be a lingering situation?
No.
Why?
I have a lot of faith in the people in the building and the resources that we have. Abdul's a young man that's 21 years old, that's smart and understands the magnitude of his actions, and also understands what it means to be a pro. And these kids are 21 years old, and they're thrust in the spotlight in New York City, and it's not always going to be perfect. People make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And part of our job is to develop them as football players, but also as people, and we will continue to do that with everybody in this organization.
What was your input on the decision to fire Dable?
Again, that was a decision that ownership made, and I support them with the decision. And again, now we're supporting Kafka moving forward.
Obviously, including Abdul, there's players, on social media criticizing the coach. There's players not giving an effort, not getting benched. Does the program, the organization, have an accountability problem?
I'm not real familiar with who was any specifics on the criticizing the coaches or.
I'm not going to single out Malik, but Malik's tweet about Kafka after the Lions game, or yeah. Again, like you try to no different than firing off a text. Like you should probably take a deep breath in the heat of the moment. Again, a 22-year-old kid that's going through a difficult time right now, not being able to be with his teammates and play, and going through a tough rehab. It's not easy, and there's a guy that's not playing and still, watching, supporting, and feeling the pain with us for not winning. So, again, another young player. It's a different world. It's social media, and we continue to educate these guys, and we'll continue to do that.
You're the one running the coaching search. Do you anticipate Mike Kafka being a candidate for the full-time job beyond the season?
Mike's going to get a real look. He's getting a real look right now. Hands-on. Had very good communication with Mike throughout the process. He's coached for 3 games. 2 of them we had leads in the fourth quarter. Guys were ready to go, and last night we didn't show up in all 3 phases, unfortunately. But I have a good relationship with Mike. He's a good coach, good leader, and again, he's getting an opportunity over these next 4 weeks to continue to lead the team.
How would you evaluate Jackson? Obviously, when we last spoke, he wasn't the starter yet, but just you were high on him. Now that he's started and played, how would you evaluate what he's done so far up to this point?
Jackson's done a good job. I've been impressed with Jackson. Offensive Player of the Month, Offensive Rookie of the Month in October. Played really well, for a rookie. Again, I know whether it's throwing the ball downfield, off platform, creating plays, the ability to extend plays, has been impressive. His leadership, his knowledge of the offense, he's exceeded expectations as far as he's done a good job.
That said, how do you try to balance out now? Obviously, everyone's talked about it, but have you talked to him, or you talked to the coaches about those? Hey, we need to protect him better, or he needs to protect himself. How have you been involved with that conversation?
Yes, and having just lived it in Buffalo, we've been through this before. And what makes these players great is, their toughness, their competitiveness, their desire to win. And you appreciate that about Jackson, but you also have to be available. And try not to take the unnecessary hits. I would say last night was probably unnecessary. Probably could have gotten out of bounds, and it's 3rd and 1, and instead we get a penalty, and he takes a shot, and now it's 3rd and 16. So there's a fine line, and what makes Jackson great is his competitiveness, his desire to win, and that's the way he's wired. So you try to find a fine line between playing smart but also not taking away what makes them great. And he's not the only quarterback that scrambles. I mean, you guys watch this against Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes is running all over the place. Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, some of the best. You can't be. There's very few that can be the pocket passer that's just a statue in there these days. So just got to be smart when you can get down and not have to take hits and unnecessary hits. You got to take advantage of those opportunities so you can live to see another day.
Joe, the perception is out there regarding Jackson that because of the video clips you guys maybe did in the summer back from the draft, were you saying to Dabes, are you convicted in Jackson, that the perception is that he was Dable's guy, that he wasn't your guy. What insight or what can you speak to that, the idea that Jackson wasn't necessarily your guy, but it was the head coach that decided that he would be drafted?
Yeah, and again, there's context to those. Again, there's hundreds of conversations leading up to that conversation in the draft room, starting, when we met with Jackson at the Senior Bowl. So you could probably ask Jim Denton. He says the earliest 30 visit I've ever scheduled, was in January. He was already on our calendar. So Jackson was the guy that was on our radar very early in the scouting process before, Dabes was even aware of him because he was coaching. And anytime you're going to make a decision on a first-round quarterback, that's going to be an organizational decision. And it was an organizational decision. Credit to my staff. They did a phenomenal job gathering information, understanding the landscape of the draft, that, we could get Abdul at 3, and then when's the re-entry point into the first round where
we could still get a quarterback. And again, kudos to my staff, Brandon Brown, Tim McDonald, Dennis Hickey, all those guys. The research they did was spot on. And if you're going to make the decision to move back up into the first round to get a quarterback, all hands are on deck. That was an organizational decision. We were all on board with it. And, I'm glad we were able to do it. We didn't have to sell the farm to go up and get the quarterback. We were able to get him where we were. And, again, looks like that pick's going to pay off.
Joe, there seemed to be a feeling last
Get you a minute.
year that if you got better quarterback play, this team would win more games. I think it's obvious this team is getting better quarterback play with pretty much all three quarterbacks. Maybe Russ not in all the games, and the record is still what it is. So how do you look at that and say we have a young nucleus of good talent? We're getting better quarterback play, which was an issue last year, and the record is just not there.
Yeah, Paul, when you look at the offensively, before last night's game, we were up to 10. We're number 10 in the league. I think we're 14 now. So offensively, we have gotten better. Run and pass, the numbers are better. Defensively, I believe we were 30th last year at this time. That's with the addition of Abdul Carter, Paulson Adebo, Javon Howland, Chauncey Golston, Roy Robertson Harris. And, we're in that same area, unfortunately. So to say I expected that, no. But, again, it starts with me. We've got to do a better job. I didn't anticipate we would still be 30th in the league in defense at this point with the addition of those players. But we are. And, we've got to do a better job of execution. We've got to do a better job of finishing games. And, I've got to do a better job with the personnel.
You mentioned the roster is right now, right? In year 3 and 4, with the win total, right? You 3 wins last year, 2 wins. It's like, well, how do you explain that?
Yeah, I understand the question, and I'll just say this, Jordan. Like as we're looking through it, as we go through the quarter, the coaching search, and what that may look like. There's feedback from outside sources, and as you go through it, in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I'm a coordinator and I maybe want to be a head coach, like would the Giants be an attractive job to me? Okay, they have a young quarterback that's played at a pretty good level for a rookie. They've got a number 1 receiver that had a historical rookie season. They've got a left tackle. They've got a left guard. They've got a center coming back. They've got a young running back room. Theo Johnson has shown very good flashes this year, of play. So that side of the ball, there's some pieces in place to build around. Defensively, there's pass rush. There's Dexter Lawrence. There's some pieces in the secondary. So when you look at it individually, are there pieces? Yes. But we got to come together collectively as a group, and there's 11 guys on the field that need to be doing the same thing. They need to be on the same page. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. And again, that starts with me, and that's what we got to figure out. It's not just talent. You all got to be on the same page, and everybody's got to be rowing in the same direction and doing their jobs. And that's what we're tasked with. That's part of what we need to figure out moving forward is how to get these pieces to be on the same page and execute at a high level so we can win consistently. Yeah, I understand your question. Again, I think somebody asked the same thing earlier. But, again, I'm going to control what I can control, which is support CAFA over the next 4 weeks. Ownership should and will evaluate the entire football operation at the end of it. And I'm just going to continue to support Kafka and his staff and do the best we can over these last 4 weeks.
Did you misevaluate the significance of leadership on your team by letting guys go, like trading Leonard, letting Julian Love go, Xavier McKinney, Saquon Barkley? Do you think that has played a part in the fact that your team isn't able to finish and doesn't have enough leadership to get to the finish line and get wins?
I know we have leadership on this team. I'll say that. Like Brian Burns is a very good leader. He's done a good job. And I hear you on those guys, but you're at different points in the build, okay? You can, you want to rush the passer, protect the passer, and get a quarterback, okay? Rush the passer, protect the passer, and have a quarterback. In the context of those decisions, if you bring somebody, if you bring back a safety, now you don't have a pass rusher. If you bring back a running back, you don't get Jermaine Illuminor. You don't get John Runyon. In order to be productive at some of those positions, it helps to have the other. So I understand the leadership portion. We do have leaders on this team. Offensively, Jackson has stepped into that role. Scat is a future leader for us. Andrew Thomas has done a good job. Defensively, we've got guys. So leadership's always going to be important. And we try to have it in every room. Like nobody talks about Chris Manhertz, but the development of, Theo Johnson and Belly, Devin Singletary, a guy in that room that has really been instrumental in Scat and Tyrone Tracy's development. So they may be your best players don't always have to be your leaders. You would like them to be, but in today's day and age, it's getting harder and harder to find those guys. But we're always going to look for leadership, and again, specifically at the quarterback position, I think we have a very good future leader in Jackson Dart.
On the defensive side of the ball, you've invested a significant amount of resources in there, whether it's draft picks, whether it's free agent dollars, players you've let go, but the guys that you've decided you want to turn the defense around with. Mm-hmm. To have the defense be in the current state that it is, wildly underwhelming or underperforming at this point. I mean, what went wrong and how do you need to change? Because these are your guys. This is the guys the organization pinpointed to add, and it's been a failure to this point.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned it earlier. We were 30th last year. We're 30th this year with the addition of those talents. So we got to do a better job. We got to do a better job.
How close do you think this team is to truly competing?
I didn't hear your first.
How close do you think this team is to truly competing?
We're 2 wins. We're not there. We got to do better. I mean, that is what it is. Like, we're 2 wins.
So you said a couple of times about how Jackson makes this an attractive job, right? Do you have to take into consideration what Jackson will find attractive in a head coach?
You're going to take that into account if he has an opinion, but again, like, all due respect to Jackson, he's been here for 9 months. Does you want to lean on him, and if it's an offensive mind or concepts or something, but you've got people in the building that have been doing this for over 20 years and networks around the league and know what it looks like and have been doing it for a long time. So I respect Jackson a lot. We have great communication, talk to him about a lot of things, and as it gets closer, that's something we'll have conversations about. But again, the weight of the decision won't.
I didn't mean to say that he's going to have a voice in it, but are you sort of playing matchmaker?
Well, the entire team. It's not just offensively. Again, who can come in and lead the entire team, offensively, defensively. Obviously, you do have a young quarterback, and that's going to be important, the development of Jackson, that he continues to progress the way he has. And, that's obviously going to weigh heavy into the decision.
Joe, what do you view as your part in 5 wins in the last 30 games? Because you said it starts with me.
Yeah.
But what specifically do you think you have failed on, and how is it translating in losses on the field, where you say, is it drafting? Is it free agency? How do you view it? How do you?
It's 5 wins the last 2 years, Pat. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Like, you can go through. I'm not going to make excuses. It's not good enough. I don't want to go through individually, different scenarios. There's context to a lot of things, but it's 5 wins. It's not good enough, and we've got to get better.
Would you agree it's fair to talk about the details a little bit, though, because several coaches have lost their jobs now because they weren't good enough. So what is your part specifically?
Yeah, it's 5 wins, Pat, and it's not good enough. I understand your question, and I'm also a realist. I understand. It's what have you done for me lately? I've been in the league for 26 years, and it's not good enough. And we're going to look at the entire football operation, everything from free agency decisions, draft decisions, coaching, execution. What can we do better? What can we do better? Because there are pieces here. Why aren't we maximizing what we have? And that's what we're going to, that's going to be our mission this offseason, to figure that out.
When you say, why are we not maximizing what we have? I think some people would say you don't have enough. So I'm asking,
and that's fine.
Where have you erred in that, as far as composing the roster, building the roster, keeping draft picks on the roster who have not contributed, who don't look like they're going to contribute into the future, and who create depth issues on the roster that seem to become glaring issues when these games are on the line?
Well, I'll just say this, Pat. Nobody's perfect, and the chances of me batting 1,000 are gone because I've made mistakes. Okay, everybody's going to make mistakes, and we're going to get some things right. As long as you're learning from those mistakes and you reflect on the process in place and where you went wrong, and you can continue to get better, that's what's most important. And I'm better today than I was 4 years ago when I get this job. And a year from now, God willing, I'm standing here, I'm going to be better than I am today. And that's all I can do. That's all I can do. That's all my staff can do. We continue to evaluate the process. Where there's some things we did where we missed in our process, or we strayed from what we believe in, there's a chance that happened. Okay, lesson learned. Don't make it again. But again, as you go through it, there have been a lot of decisions that have went right. Okay, so what can we learn from that? As long as we're learning and continuing to get better and don't make the same mistakes twice, then that's progress. And that's what we're going to continue to focus on, our process, to get this organization back where it belongs. Again, it's the gold standard. It's still the New York Giants, and the greatest city in the world. Flagship franchise, great ownership, young quarterback, Like, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the guys who are here. Have I screwed up? Have I made mistakes? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. And we're going to continue to get better. And we're going to look at everything. Everything. Coaching, coordinators, strength. I mean, every single thing. Every part of the organization. And we're going to do everything we can to get this thing going in the right direction.
Are you prepared, Joe, if once these 4 games, once the season is over, if John and Steve and anyone else in ownership bring you into a room to prove to them, to convince them that you're the right guy to move forward as general manager here?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Where do you move straight from the process? If you talk about that, I guess where it sounds like you've already kind of evaluated that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. No, nobody focuses on what went wrong more than me. I'll just say that. Like, you're continually beating yourself up because these aren't. It's not like the head coach and, hey, we didn't get it last night against New England, but I'm going to go. The game plan next week's going to kick. We're going to forget everything about what happened against New England. Like, these are decisions that live on, and there's whether it's draft or free agency or hiring a coach. You got to live with those decisions. And again, we're just going to continually evaluate the process. And I know I'm not going to get into details, but there's some early on where we strayed from maybe what we believe in. And, I've got to live with that. I've got to learn from it, educate my staff on what we can do better. And again, with the people we have in the building, the collaborative approach, and, we're going to get this thing right. We're going to get this thing right. We're just going to get it going in the right direction.
I think there's a possibility that a GM candidate might want to bring in, a coaching candidate might want to have their own GM, that they might not necessarily want to have a pre-existing general manager in place.
The calls we've gotten, I think we're going to be able to fill the job.